She's the first rookie to win WNBA Player of the Month since the award's inception in 2010, and last night it was no exception. They were sky high for Caitlin Clark and the Fever, but to start the season, they had a little bit of a rough go of it. They lost their first 5 games. They ended up 1-8 through their first 9 games, and during that first month, the playoffs, they didn't feel realistic at all. Indy entered the Olympic break 11-15 on the year, and then they really turned it around. They've won 7 of their 8 since. They clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016, which, by the way, was the last year of Hall of Famer and franchise icon Tamika Catchings.
So, here's a crazy stat for you. The WNBA has been around for well over 2 decades now, but never in its storied history has it ever generated even a third of the viewership it enjoyed in the just concluded 2024 season. Yes, you heard that right. And in case you're wondering what the figures are, well, a whopping rise from just over 400,000 average viewers in 2023 to an unbelievable 1.4 million average viewers in 2024 tells a tale of a long overdue exposure. But what could have triggered this meteoric rise? Why has the WNBA suddenly erupted into the scenes? And why is everybody clamoring to get a peep of the action? Well, I have 2 words for you. Caitlin Clark. Sure, the WNBA has had its fair share of legendary ballers grace its hallowed courts, but not even the best of them put together could boast even half of the unprecedented attention Caitlin is currently attracting to the league. And guess what? She's still only a 22-year-old fresh out of her rookie season. Tell you what, even some of your favorite NBA icons could never have dreamt of such influence.
She has lived up to expectations, right? I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? Just in the women's side of things, and the height that she had, the expectations she had.
Let's start with the rookie, Caitlin Clark Kent. Superwoman, you see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, fever. Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record.
She's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
And that's not even an overstatement. So how did it all happen? How did a 22-year-old rookie completely revolutionize an entire league? Well, come along as we take a look at the extraordinary Caitlin Clark and how she became the face of the WNBA. But first, kindly take a second to leave a like and subscribe to this channel to help us grow. This will make a huge difference to us, and in doing so, we can continue creating more new and exciting content for you guys. Done that? Awesome! Now let's get into the legend of the point goddess. Of course, there's no arguing who the undisputed face of the WNBA is right now. Here's a hint, she plays for the Indiana Fever and she wears the number 22 jersey. But while that's a known fact, what you may not know is that Caitlin was already a worldwide sensation before she became last season's unanimous Rookie of the Year. Heck, her relevance in the basketball world even goes beyond her introduction to the WNBA. Caitlin has always been a bright spark from a very young age, and that probably contributed to her excellence on the court. However, beyond that, she always boasted that star power that automatically singles her out as the brightest talent from a mile away. As a college baller, Caitlin represented the College of Iowa, and even then, she was already pulling her weight as a soon-to-be icon in the sport. Her exploits in college basketball earned her a wider recognition than you could imagine for a young college girl. It was almost like a fandom, and even then, she was already attracting crowds to her games. Everyone wanted to see the Supergirl that people couldn't stop talking about. Oh, and it didn't matter which version of her you saw, she just had a way of getting you infected with the Caitlin Clark fever. Well, it certainly helped that she had a very likable personality, but it's the way she never forgets to put on a show that made her the talk of every game. It was almost like she intentionally played to mesmerize, when in reality she was just doing what Caitlin Clark always did, dazzle unapologetically. The records also tell their own part of the tale, and what a beautiful version it is. It's a tale of the greatest player to ever feature in college basketball, whether male or female. Her exploits with the Iowa Hawkeyes saw her establish herself as the single most dominant player in NCAA history by setting a record as the all-time leading scorer and then bagging 2 National Player of the Year awards for good measures. Right there and then, it was clear that the WNBA wasn't really ready for what was about to hit it in the form of this 22-year-old sensation. Like a supreme being, her arrival to the league was foretold and anticipated. But while everybody could predict how hard she was going to dominate, not many saw that she was about to change the game forever. When Caitlin eventually made it to the drafts, It was the Caitlin Clark fever spreading all over again like wildfire consuming dry summer leaves. The rave was all over, like nothing we've ever seen before, and it marked the beginning of a brand new era for women's basketball. But before we get into her influence on the league, let's take a moment to appreciate the pure genius that is Caitlin Clark. In case you haven't ever seen Caitlin play, which is highly unlikely at this point, you might be wondering if she's really worth all the attention. Well, folks, you can take it from here that this particular athlete is worth every single bit of the hype and a little bit more. Is it her personality, her grace, the aura, or just her plain undeniable talent with the round leather ball? Well, everything speaks in unison like a delightful symphony, and they tell a tale of greatness personified. Her journey in the WNBA officially kicked off on the 14th of May 2024, when she so effortlessly put up 20 points on her debut against the Connecticut Suns. And since then, it's been one record-breaking performance after the other, as she took it upon herself to shatter even the most untouchable achievements. In the end, there were no doubts regarding who the Rookie of the Year was. She was also named the assist leader, after breaking the record for most assists in a single season with 322. If that's not resounding enough, she also strolled into the All-Rookie and All-WNBA first teams before ranking 4th in the MVP voting. It's really been the year of the point goddess indeed. But for all of her exploits, it's the undisputed attention she's brought to the league that's made her the most influential player in the history of the game, and here's how she did it. First of all, Caitlin's eruption to the scene was never subtle, and it brought with it a type of followership never seen before. Even before making her debut, Clark was already arguably the most popular player in the WNBA, and it clearly reflected in the viewership eruption. It was unbelievable to say the least, and the numbers backed up the fact of how one player is pioneering the greatest change ever seen in WNBA history. Right from draft night, a record 2.5 million viewers already tuned in on ESPN to see the woman of the moment get selected as the #1 overall pick. Now, in case you're trying to figure out the math, that's a whopping 328% increase from the previous year, and it's all because of one person. But it didn't end there. They didn't just want to see her sign, they were also dying to see her play. And it didn't come as a surprise when 2.1 million viewers tuned in to see her make her debut for the Indiana Fever. Throughout the season, the WNBA gained massive viewership as a result of Clark's influence, and about 20 of her games went on to record over 1 million views. Of course, the #1 benefactors of Caitlin's arrival to the global stage were the Indiana Fever, who were lucky to have gotten first pick at the drafts. Caitlin didn't just automatically seal their status as a top team with her outstanding talent on the court. She also drove their fan base off the roof. A 246% increase in attendance meant the Indiana Fever gained almost 4 times more supporters than they previously had, to become the most followed team in the league overnight. Their average attendance per game skyrocketed from just over 4,000 to a league-leading 17,000 as they became the first team in WNBA history to record more than 300,000 fans in a season. The league itself wasn't left out of the frenzy, as it gained a stunning 380% increase in its online visibility, and you don't even have to guess who the engagements were about. Not only was she being followed, but even the bookies couldn't resist betting on her odds. Not that it comes as any surprise, but Clark was the single most bet-on player in the league, while the Indiana Fever also managed to snap the record for the most bet-on team in the WNBA thanks to her influence. Tell you what, there's no point in searching, because you'll never find a WNBA player as influential as Caitlin Clark. Not now, and not in any near future. Her legacy even transcends her exploits on the court alone. It is reaching out and making more people believe in the beautiful game. It's reshaping the landscape of women's basketball and giving hope to little girls who dream of one day reaching the top of their world. Folks, Caitlin Clark may still only be 22, but she's already a legend of the game and the undisputed face of the WNBA. Oh, and at this rate, she might just go down as the greatest icon to feature in women's basketball. And even that doesn't sound like a far reach now. That's the Caitlin effect for you. There you have it. So what's your take on Caitlin Clark and how she's revolutionizing women's basketball? Also, do you think she could go on to become one of the very best players in WNBA history? Do let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that subscribe icon for more videos about your favorite WNBA stars.